Hi, in the name of Christ, how you doing? It's your girl Crancake, Karabo. I hope you're good, I hope you're peachy, I hope you're stellar, and I hope you're in a neat little bunch. If you're not, welcome to the party, because it is what it is. That's just the story of our life. It's the 28th of March, 2024, and yeah, I'm really going through it. But I've got to keep on rocking up here to explain exactly what is happening. Never in my life did I ever imagine that this would ever be my life. Anyway, let me just put some caveats out there. Kindly look out for my captions. They're not always accurate. Sometimes they use a small g for God, so they're not very reverential. And they're sometimes misspelled, or it's the wrong word altogether. That's not really my plan. It's automated captions, and I keep them there because I like them. But one day in the future, God willing, should the Lord grant me an ability to grow, I'll change them up. If I'm looking over there, it's only because I'm doing my edits. Secondly, I'm potentially wearing app makeup. If I am, you'll know because it's going to be bouncing off and on my face. Okay, righto. And then I have like a segment, and it bores the living daylights out of me, but we keep it anyway. Basically pinch my cheeks to show you that when you prick me I bleed. Goodness, well, I'm just going through so much right now. I'm going through so incredibly much. Yeah, I'm going through a lot. What's that song that I wrote? Yeah, I rewrote Unchained Melody, and it just came to the top of my mind right now. Anyway, I'm doing that to try and blush my cheeks to show you that when you prick me, I bleed. When you slap me, I get hurt. Okay, if it didn't happen, it didn't happen, guys. I'm not in the mood. Alright, I'm still going through it. If you've been following me for the past couple of days, you would know that I'm currently reporting a travesty. Oh, I'm so grateful that these captions finalized before the strange power cut. There was a power cut. It wasn't the real deal. It wasn't like a real power cut or whatever. It was like a fake power cut, because those are the only kinds of power cut that we get because of the fact that we have solar panels. And yeah, my captions were busy generating when the power cut happened, and I just discovered now that it was finished, so thank God for that, because then that means that I do not have to wait for them to generate from scratch. Okay, anyway, let me now pay 100% attention to you while we choose a template for... Let's just get to the point. There is a song that I wrote, a template for my captions. There is a song that I rewrote. Guys, please don't pay any mind to my hair. It's growing. Like, that's all that matters. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's so messy, but like, whatever. Anyway, yeah. There is this song that I rewrote, but like, you guys know that I grab. If you've been listening to me for any amount of time, you would know that I take secular songs sometimes and I rewrite them. Hi, how's it? I take secular songs and I rewrite them, and I rewrote Unchained Melody by the Righteous Brothers. Yeah, I did that. I absolutely did that. And it was basically this song, it just, like, the Lord just magnified it in my mind. Now, again, that song, goodness gracious, like, whoa, come on. I'm sorry, guys, yo, I'm just so out of it right now. I'm busy getting all of these 1-minute notifications from YouTube coming through. This phone doesn't usually catch on to Wi-Fi this side, but now, strangely, it just is, and it's just distracting me. So anyway, whatever. I was just turning them off. That's what I was doing over there. Okay, righto. The song that I rewrote by Righteous, the Unchained Melody one, it's like basically a lament about the longing for the Lord of these last days, like how evil things get and how it's taking so long. And it's a plea for the rapture, for anything to give. Like, goodness, like, whoa. And it just came to the top of my mind now again. Shoo, I am under so much attack. It's not even funny. The stuff that I've been going through the past couple of days, describing to you what I'm feeling in my body. By the grace of God, it's better today, but ever so marginally. It's only slightly better. But the fact that it's better tells me that I'm getting out of it. You know, with every demonic attack, it tapers off. It tapers off over time. And the time usually is not very long. I spoke about how usually it's maximum 3 days. But this time around, this thing has been lingering, yo, for... I think it's been over a week now. And yeah, only now. It's tapering off. The headache, I woke up with it, but it's tapering off. The headache is tapering off. Without the use of grandpa, so I'm grateful for that. whatever it is that I'm going through is tapering off. But my thing is, y'all, you know, humanity, there is a reason why what you do is called deception. I'm still going through it. My body is still out of it, okay? There is a reason why this thing that you do is called a deception. Because for the life of me, you know the saying, misery loves company? It's absolutely true of how it is, even that the devil charges his minions. It's almost as if though as soon as people start using black magic, they can tell that it doesn't end well, that this here does not end well. It can't possibly end well. And so because they don't want to be the only ones with bad fortunes facing them in the future, they then try to get as many people into it as possible. I have witnessed people endure consequences for their actions for being involved in the occult. I have seen them actively regret ever dabbling, ever getting into the stuff. And yet, despite being at the height of their regret, they still want to get other people to join the occult instead of leave it. They're still trying to recruit people to be part of the kingdom instead of in and of themselves quit. Like there comes a time when something is not working out for you that you really gotta step. You gotta get out. You've just got to get out. Like, I remember there was this one woman that I met a couple of years ago that was trying to convince me to have a child since I wanted one. And my singlehood was of no essence to her. For her, it was about finding a man, getting a boyfriend, and then just having a child with that guy. And I kept on telling her, but I want to be married, and also, like, I'm a Christian. I'm not trying to fornicate, sin against God, and I want to do things the right way. And this chick was like, but like, they'll take care of you. The world around you will take care of you. Your boyfriend will take care of you and your baby. And I was like, but I'm not where I need to be. Financially, I've lost everything. I need to regain my life. She's like, but they'll take care of you. She just kept on saying, they'll take care of you. Basically, the world around me, she was like, your mom will take care of you and your baby. Your boyfriend will take care of you and your baby. And I was just creasing my forehead wondering, but why are you insisting that I do something that's going to be so taxing on me and on a child when what I am planning on doing is rather the responsible thing to do, and quite frankly the easier way to go about it, the easier way, because it's just easier when you're in a marriage to have children. It's just easier when you are financially strong to have children. It's just better and easier. Why would you want me to take such a hard route where I need to lean on the village to raise my children, where I need to lean on the world around me, where indeed a lot of times kids getting born in the black community, to like even teenage girls, come out, they grow up, they don't get skinny, they're not malnourished, they're not unfed or uncatered to, then they're not homeless or not going to school because their mothers are broke, because their mothers are still in and of themselves children. You know, they do get taken care of indeed by grandmothers and mothers and the whole community. They have roofs over their heads and they go to school. These kids, they get fed. They grow up properly, normally, and whatnot, you know, with a single mom that gets her career only later. You know, this child, like, sa independence only later on. Indeed, it's true. Yeah, it's not like we're living in the Horn of Africa where there's just Kwashiyoko desert land and malnutrition all over the show. Like, chances are if a kid is getting born to a black woman, Kosoweto, to a black girl that's a teenager, that kid, even though that teenage girl has no money and no job, that kid will still be okay because other people are going to buy that kid diapers. Other people are going to pitch in to take care of that child. And ultimately it works out because she gets older, she gets a job, and then she's able to finally take care of her child herself. She's finally able to raise the kids herself. Indeed, I agree. But it's just so hard. For me, it's common sense. It's obviousness, you know. It's just so much harder. Why do people insist on having such hard lives? Like, it says a lot. It proves that we are fallen from God, and so we lack common sense. We just can't reason. We can't be rational. We're so hasty to just get it now, like microwave babies. We're so impatient to wait for an easier time to do things that we just do it now. We just do it now. And I guess the reason why people keep on just doing things now is because they are spoiled by the fact that historically evidence has been presented that it worked out anyway. Like, it worked out anyway. The kid that got born to a 14-year-old mom, a 16-year-old mom, a 17-year-old mom that had no job, that has never worked a day in her life. Here it is. Now that that kid is a teenager and the mom is a woman in her late 30s. That everybody's cool because this kid is living with the mom, and the mom is now married to a man that's not the baby daddy. And she's got half siblings. It worked out. It absolutely did, I'm not gonna lie, in that the kid did not pass away from malnutrition or abandonment, neglect, no diapers. The kid made it. The kid made it. The kid got to matric and even made it to first year varsity at Wits. But I mean, why? You know what I mean? Like, why does it have to be so hard? People have been spoiled by the fact that they make hard things work. And so they just run with them. They just run with them. And indeed, you know, the common grace of God applies all over creation, because herein lies the deal. Babies, children can't quite determine the decisions of their parents as they're being conceived. They can't. So to be born to a single mom with a deadbeat dad, or a baby daddy that's got 7 other baby mamas in the gussie, the kid couldn't choose that. And by the amazing grace of God, the Lord regards the fact that kids do not choose the irresponsible decisions of their parents. And so his common grace applies and takes care of that child anyway, even though it's been born in an irresponsible fashion. I mean, we know what happened even with Ishmael and Hagar. The Lord had the back of the mom, Hagar, for the irresponsibility of the decision of Sarah, and also the back of the child Ishmael. But at the end of the day, it was Sarah that just made that very, like, hard knock life for everybody. Her silly little decision to dishonor God's promise made everyone's life hard. It made Abraham's life hard. It made Hagar's life hard. It made Ishmael's life hard. And if it was not for the common grace of God, literally an abandoned, forsaken mother and child would have died in the desert because a woman realized that she made the wrong decision. But the common grace of God applied. So just as in the case of Ishmael and Hagar, every so often, children being born to irresponsible parents they survive. And human beings, upon being spoiled by the fact that irresponsible decisions sometimes bear fruit, just keep on making these mistakes, despite the fact that, like I said, it's just so much easier to do things the right way. It takes a lot more patience. It takes fortitude and character to do things right. And time, too. And time waiting on in and of itself is hard. But once you overcome the hurdle of hardship, of waiting, then comes the ease of doing things. Just how much better it is when you do things. It's just easier to do things right. This chick, when I was busy talking with her, telling her about how broody I am and I'm worried about my biological clock, because this conversation I was having with her, I was having it with her during the season of my trial and my sorrow. The whole time that I've been going through this, I've been very scared for my biological clock and all that jazz, and I communicated it to this lady. And she was at that stage already a married woman with some children, but she had had her first child very early on in life. And I don't believe that the dad of that child was the man that she was married to. And she was busy telling me, it works out. You want a child, have one. And I was just like, girl, I'm sharing my heart with you right now, just to share my apprehensions, or my, not so much apprehensions, but my concerns. Yes, my concerns about the fact that I am this age and I have yet to have children. I'm not trying to get your advice. I'm just sharing my heart. And I'm trying to also, I guess, witness my relationship with Jesus to help you understand the, I guess, challenges of being a Christian. We don't just get to do things anyhow. And it's not that it's a yoke that is horrible for us to carry. It's that we've got pressure from the world. And the yoke is easy because his yoke is easy and the burden is light. But we've got these bizarre mindsets in the world that we were washed from. We were cleansed from them. We were made to think better than that, to demolish arguments. But just because our minds have been cleansed and our minds have been renewed by the word of God, we've been transformed by the renewal of our minds, does not mean that people are not going to constantly pressurize us to go back to the old way of working. His yoke is easy and his burden is light. Indeed, because while patient endurance, waiting on what it is that you are waiting on God for is hard, that whole practice of waiting in and of itself is rough, the peaceful fruit, that's why God calls them peaceful, right? The peaceful fruit of righteousness is the harvest that you reap. You know, the Bible says, do not grow weary of doing good. For in due season you will reap the peaceful fruit of righteousness if you don't give up. There is just so much peace in righteous fruit. It's a chill environment. It's literally a yoke that is easy and a burden that is light. The waiting is hard, but what you get eventually is so restful. It's just so easy. It's therefore worth the while. It makes for a really excellent business case for people to wait on God. Yeah, guys, I have seen so many women in the Black community, especially, just out here pop babies, give boyfriends children when the chick is, she doesn't have, guys, like, I had a cousin that had a child when she was not even on medical aid, and she had the kind of job that did not award maternity leave. So basically, you would have to claim from the UIF, Unemployment Insurance Fund, if you are going to go on maternity leave, because it did not come with the benefits of that job. And she was not on medical aid. And she was broody. She was broody. She wanted a baby. And she and her boyfriend thoroughly decided that they're going to have one. They planned one. The boyfriend was a struggling business person. Like, things when, you know, every so often you get a job, sometimes you don't get a job type thing. And she had a job, but one way that basically she knew from the very get-go, there's no maternity leave, there are no maternity benefits. If you're gonna take maternity leave, we'll let you go and come back if you want, but like, you're not gonna get paid maternity leave. You're gonna have to claim from UIF. Top of that, she had no medical aid. Who in the world puts themselves in that position? Especially when you grew up in a household with a mom and a dad that put you on medical aid, and every time you needed to see a doctor, you just whipped out a discovery card. And here it is that you're subjugating a baby to the tyranny of public clinics, public hospitals. As a girl that was raised in a house where you always had medical aid. So it's not like you even came from a background where you don't know nothing about health insurance. You know how it gets. Like, the chick gave birth to a child in a public hospital that was jam-packed, and she got discharged the same day after 24 hours. Like, stitches are yet to be healed and everything. And they told her to go because the maternity ward was saturated. It was, what was the word that they used? Overpopulated, like something of that nature. She had to go home limping after giving birth to that baby. Could not stay in the hospital 2-3 days while being taken care of by postpartum nurses and what have you. And it's like, in the run-up to you conceiving this baby, it wasn't even an oops pregnancy. It was planned. She was so planned that the chick was out here buying baby magazines in the run-up to. That's how broody she was. I've also been broody like that this whole time. And so she just decided that, I'm gonna do it. We are spoiled by the fact that things work out anyway. Indeed, that daughter that she gave birth to is cool today. She's fine. She got raised, never went hungry a single day in her life. Does not remember the uncomfortable conditions within which she was born. She was just a baby. It worked out. But it was just so hard. It was just so hard. It was hard. And it was that hardship that caused that same woman to then decide that every other woman in the community is going to be just like her. Not only did she have no medical aid, and not only did she have no maternity leave that was paid, they both also did not have their own place to stay. They had to move because of the fact that she was unpaid during her pregnancy. She had to move out of her apartment. And then they moved into the house of this guy, at the back of the house of this guy's parents. Basically living like all things that could have been foreplanned, like foreseen. People could have foreseen that that's going to be the case. And the beginning stages of their parenthood was just so rough. And indeed, it took a village to raise that girl. The mom, the dad, everybody pitched in. Everybody from both sides of the family did pitch in. The kid never went hungry. The kid was never without a bed to sleep on. The kid, whenever she was sick, was never without a doctor to consult her. But it was just so hard. It was why, like, y'all, humanity, sin is done because we are impatient. Sin is done because we run, and as in, this is entirely biblical. Listen to this scripture. The Lord is amazing in just how wise he is. It is written in his word that do not say when you fall into sin that God tempted you, because God tempts nobody but you with your desires. Upon running after them, scratching at their feet, manufacture the sin. You manufacture desire. Essentially, your desires are what it is that bring about sin. Desire, when it is conceived, brings about sin. And then sin, when it is nicely fully grown, that's when it brings about death. So if you don't brittle it by the Spirit, put to death the deeds of the body, if you don't conquer the flesh, if you don't conquer your ill-gotten gain, the hecticness of you wanting it now, like a microwave baby, you then ultimately graduate to death. So desire is essentially homicidal if you let it. Desire in and of itself is not problematic. I have the same desires as my cousin. Broody from a very early age, just like her. But like, desire when it is unchecked, when it is not regulated or guarded by patience, that's when it starts to produce sin. You, thanks to your desires, are enticed and then lured into sin. That's what the Bible says. And sin, when it is fully grown, then brings about eventual destruction, death. The Lord says, like I said, desire in and of itself is not problematic. Do you understand? He says that commit your ways to me and I will what? I will give you the desires of your heart. Desire is not the issue. Wanting something, desiring something, longing for something is not the problem. It's when you have absolutely no patience to wait on it that stuff starts to go awry. Do you understand what I'm saying? Sin is conceived in desire with that is absent of patience. When you just don't want to wait. When you just don't want to wait. Commit your ways to the Lord and I will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your ways to me and I will give you the desires of your heart. Trust the Lord your God. Lean not on your own understanding. In all of your ways acknowledge him and he will make your paths straight. If at all you give your life to Christ and you allow the fruit of the Holy Spirit to engender in you patience, you will wait for your desires. And that waiting is painful. It's excruciating. It, however, builds character and fortitude. And it's written in God's word that after you struggle for a minute, the God of all grace will give you everything you need, lacking in nothing. Lacking in nothing. That lack is a lack of what? Desire, right? Fulfilled promise. It's about waiting. This cheeky that I was having a conversation with some years back, telling her about my desire for motherhood, my desire for being a parent and how I'm concerned about my biological clock and how I'm about to enter into my geriatric womb years. I think I was yet to hit 35 or I had just hit 35. And this chickie is out just saying, you're a beautiful woman, get a man, and then have a baby. And I was like, no lie, yeah, I guess I shall get a man and have a baby, but that man, he better be my husband. And when then I made it clear that I am not about to have a child out of wedlock, and when I made it clear that it's not even so much about my principles as it is about honoring God, then she was like, but they'll take it. She just kept highlighting how it is that they'll take care of you, like your man will take care of you and your baby. Your family, nobody's gonna leave your baby be. And I imagine that she was basing it on the fact that she had a baby young when she was unable to take care of it. And yet that baby turned out alright. And indeed she was now all grown up. That kid was likely a teenager by then, or a preteen, and she was married now to a man basically that was not her baby daddy, well, stepdad of that kid, right? So she was basically trying to explain to me that even if things don't work out, seeing as you're chasing a biological clock, even if things don't work out with your baby daddy, at least you will not have wasted your eggs. Bottom line is you can still end up married to somebody else, just like I'm married to somebody else. That's not my baby daddy. And I was like, but okay, cool, it worked out. I shall not disagree. God's common grace always applies in the lives of unfortunate children dealing with irresponsible parents when they're busy conceiving them. But herein lies the deal. It's just, first of all, it's just so hard. It's so hard. And secondly, it puts you at risk later of even settling for that husband that you end up married to. I have found that women that allowed themselves to have children before they were married, by the time they get married, if it's not to the baby daddies, a lot of times it's to men that if at all they did not have the baggage of children, they would not have been with them. It's like they just wanted marriage, linyalo, somebody that was prepared to marry them with children, instead of actually being with the love of their life, basically the man that they waited on God for. So it's all about just merely going through the milestones of life and not so much actually really enjoying yourself in them. It's just about going through the modes. It's just about having children because you're a woman and you have a womb. It's just about getting married because that's what people do when they get older. So it's not about being an adored wife that's very happily married. It's also not about being a very happy mom that enjoys her parenting. It's just about the fact that you were born with a uterus and that people get married later on. You know, when they get older, they get married. So they just marry because somebody proposed instead of really being like just wonderfully enamored with the person that is your spouse. It is no wonder the divorce rate is so high. It is no wonder people are roommates in marriages. It is no wonder people are just going through the modes. When I was working at MTN, so many married men were constantly flirting with us, single women. And for me, it was like, but do you not love your wife? Or is she some blob of a boring lady? Is there nothing to write home about Guyana to a point where you can't help but salivate after your colleagues? And some days the spouses would come to the office for whatever reason, and you would see this woman and you'd be like, whoa, she's so gorgeous. And you wouldn't understand why this dude is all over the show like this in the office. Because his wife is so beautiful. That's the kind of woman that just married because a guy proposed. That's the kind of stuff that eventually happens in a situation where a person did not want to wait. A situation where a person did not want to wait, guys. And people who allow themselves to walk in this fashion tend to be the ones that then give all this horrible advice to other people around them that it eventually works out. No lie, sister girl, it does work out. But like, why does it have to be so hard? I mean, true story, it is so much easier to raise children in a marriage. I said it. It's easier. It's financially more secure. It has a lot more girth and oomph and character to it. It's just easier. Plus the pregnancy is just so fluid. It's so much more fluid than when it is between two people that are just dating, when there's no certainty of this ending up in marriage or whatever. You get my point. I could not believe this woman's advice. I could not believe it. She was out here imaginative of pampering me with counsel that could cure me from the mistake I was making, apparently. She thought she was pampering me with counsel. That I must just go and get my dreams. Go get what you want. If you can dream it, you can conceive it. If you can achieve, if you can conceive it, you can achieve it, including having a baby. With what? I must just find anybody to come and fertilize. I mean, such an intrusive process as making a baby. Just allow somebody to just come and fertilize my eggs because I want to be a mom. What, guys? Human beings. Agent Smith in The Matrix was right. You're like a virus. You just multiply and multiply until every living resource is consumed, Mr. Anderson. It's consumed, Morpheus. No ration, no reason the Lord has handed you over to a reprobate mind. It just does not make sense. When things are easier, you should probably opt for them. The burden of Jesus Christ is easy and his yoke is light. So why not go out like that? He says, don't be having children out of wedlock. Because it's just easier. His yoke is literally easier. Burden is light. However, it's kind of hard to wait. It's rough to be single and without children a couple more years than all of your peers. It's hard to wait on the Lord, to not be unequally yoked with an unbeliever. It's hard. But like, that fortitude ultimately produces the kind of character that is required for you to now successfully be placed in the right environment. And once you're there, you can pop 20 babies without qualms, without worrying about, is this guy going to marry me? Or am I going to have to see an OBGYN at a public facility that's not going to have enough time for me? Am I going to have to go and have a baby go Joburg Jen, go Helen Joseph? Or am I going to go to Benmore? Am I going to go to Parkmore? Am I going to go to Wilgevel Hospital? You get my point. Where is my maternity hospital? Like, you know, the way that my cousin had a baby so fast and within a day she was discharged, none of us were able to go and see her at the hospital. None of us were able to go and see her at the hospital with a new baby and dote over the baby because she was kicked out of there so fast. But I had a friend who, she was, however, in and of herself not married yet, but she decided to have a baby. However, she was financially secure and she had medical aid. And she had her baby at, is it Parkmore? Yeah, the one there by Auckland, in Auckland Park. Yeah. And the difference in the comfort of the mother. Just the difference in the comfort of the mother. The mother who was on health insurance, the mother who was on medical aid, who was still at the hospital after giving birth. I went to go see her the next day. The baby was born the day prior, and then the next day, that's when I went to go and see her, and she was still there, and she was going to be there for another, I think, day or two while the doctors were monitoring her. Then only she was going to get discharged. She had it wasn't a private room, but she only shared it with one other mother. And her particular side of this very big room was spacious. It was spacious. Do you understand what I'm saying? And all of us could encircle her, and all the flowers and everything that we brought, the gifts, were all around. There was enough space for us to put them all down, and we could also plan to see her again tomorrow. Type establishment thing, you guys. She had her own private bathroom. even though she shared with another woman, both of them had their own separate bathrooms. They were not sharing. And for me, it was like, okay, this is how it's supposed to be when you're giving birth. And like proper, if you don't have like a midwife that comes to you at your house, or a personal doula or whatever, but you're doing it at a hospital, this is how it should be. Like proper. You don't want to be discomforted, especially when in and of yourself you grew up with medical aid. Like proper, every single time you were coughing, your mom just whipped out Discover, whipped out Momentum, whatever. And then you were able to see doctors, and that's all that it was. And you were always in a private facility. You never had to queue. Snake-like queues, go barra, clinic, and all that jazz. You only knew that in the very beginning stages of your life. Before parents, made a whole bunch of money in and of themselves and put you on medical aid. You would remember, like in the black community, our parents only gained financial independence a little bit later, like perhaps maybe when we were like late primary, high school stage. But in the beginning stages, when you were busy getting your vaccinations and everything, in the very, very early stages, you remember how you would queue in the Blizzard Batung. There was a time when I was sick, vomiting like no man's business, and I had to get taken to the doctor by the domestic worker. I was made to walk, guys. The domestic worker couldn't carry me the whole way. She would carry me on her back, but then she would get exasperated by the sun, and then I would have to walk. I was vomiting all the way there, going to Tladi Clinic. And then when I was at the clinic, it would be hours before I was seen. This kid is vomiting, green and yellow. And it took 3 hours for any nurse to see me, never mind a doctor. And I had to walk back still sick like that. Because the route to go to the clinic, it wasn't a taxi route. It was like a double up route. You couldn't take it. There were no taxis that we could get on. Yeah, when that's the kind of medical care that is awarded or afforded a child born in an environment where basically everything is not in place to make sure that you can take care of a child. So you lean on public clinics, public hospitals, and public transportation, and nannies being the ones, nannies of which don't have driver's licenses in and of themselves, by a comb, gotta now be the ones to walk a child, a sick 4-5-year-old, to a clinic in the sun while vomiting, can't carry herself because she's a human being. There's only so much weight that this woman can carry for a whole kilometer. 2 kilometers, maybe 3. I mean, from my grandmother's house to Tladi Clinic, I can't tell you how many kilometers it was, but back when I was still a child, it was like strides upon strides. It felt very far, okay? And I had to walk in the sun in all that pain, with all that vomit, with all that pain in my stomach. I had to walk. Now, later on, I would then be put on medical aid, and later on, my mom would then get a car. And so therefore, every time I was sick vomiting, this time around, I was vomiting into a bucket in a vehicle that was moving. And I was taken to a private facility where, upon waiting for the doctor to see me, I was put on a bed. And then nurses would keep checking on me until the doctor would come and see me. But at least I was lying down in a bed and not sitting on a bench in a public hospital, every so often vomiting into a plastic bag. Massive difference. And as a kid who went from that place, who went from walking to Tladi Clinic sick like a dog with a domestic worker, to a kid, at least I'm lying in the backseat of my mom's car. And then I'm lying on a stretcher in an ER. What is this, like a Medicross type establishment, rent, like a little mini clinic, a 24-hour private clinic type thing, lying on the stretcher for 45 minutes tops before a doctor comes and sees me. With me having experienced the differences, like day and night, differences between a parent that has a child when she has nothing, and a parent that has a child when she's now got her own independence and she's cool. Seeing that day and night difference ought have then inspired me as a child to be like, over my incredibly dead body, when I will have a child, before I have my own car, before I have a strong career, before I am able to put myself and this baby on some medical aid, before I'm able to give birth to this baby in a private hospital, and before, now let's add, what is this, something that I never quite experienced, right? Before I have a husband. My mom and dad were married when I was born, but they got divorced when I was like 5 or something. So my dad was never around, type establishment thing. But the absence of a dad, I felt it almost like I never had one at all. And so it left a bad taste in my mouth. The difficulty of single parenthood, it left a really bad taste in my mouth, especially because of my own experiences, what I had to go through. And I don't want that for a child. You would imagine that as a kid, when you have experienced both worlds, like I experienced the world of Hey, but a child is around when parents don't have much, and a child is around when parents have a lot and you're on medical aid, full comprehensive cover, lit discovery. Yeah, as a kid then, I get to be like, okay, I've seen both worlds and I was uncomfortable in World 1. So I'm going to make sure my kids are born and bred and raised in World 2. Is that not a responsible decision to make? For your children to be born in World 2? Is that not a responsible decision, guys? Is that not the right and sober decision to make, seeing as you have experienced firsthand what it's like to be a parent without the right circumstances? Not a parent, sorry, but a child belonging to a parent who is basically relying on her child to be raised by the village. When you are that mom that doesn't have much and Gogo gotta pitch in, domestic worker gotta pitch in, next door neighbor gotta pitch in, everybody's children and their dogs and cats and mamas gotta pitch in to make sure that you're okay. When you have experienced both sides, why in the world would you not want to not have your child be walked to a public clinic by an exasperated domestic worker while vomiting and sitting for 3 hours still vomiting into a plastic bag, sleeping on the lap of a domestic worker in a public clinic before she gets seen by some nurses? Why would you not want to eradicate your own child from that hardship? I turned out okay, largely alright, because my life sucks right now, but I lived. I made it. I was indeed catered to. Thank God for the South African public care system that, you know, awards free medication and whatnot to people who can't afford it. But like with 10,000 hours of queuing, but nonetheless I got cured, I got healed. Do you understand what I'm saying? But like, it just took so much hardship to get to that healing. It took a lot more. I was able to get older, go to school, get out of primary school, get into high school, matriculate, because I was given antibiotics eventually at Bloody Clinic. Eventually. So I turned out alright. I lived. I made it to matric. I made it past that sickness that might have even ended me if I did not get it seen. But with so much hardship. Humanity is foolish that way. Foolish. So when that chickie was busy counseling me, thinking she's pampering me with advice, I just looked at her on some, you want me, Karabo, Sizayele, Hlongwane. Grown woman, I'm 35, okay? I'm 39 now, then I was 35. You want this 35-year-old woman that has, listen to this, a history of a whole thriving career. So I not only got out of my mother's house and off my mother's medical aid, but I was in my own house and had my own medical aid and I was paying my own way. And so if I had fallen pregnant by a boyfriend, like during the time when I was dating my ex-boyfriend, if I had fallen pregnant by him, it would have still been irresponsible because he was a boyfriend only. But it would have been pretty much like what happened with my former best friend who had a baby at a private facility, even though it was to a boyfriend, not a husband. It was a lot easier for her than with my cousin type establishment thing. I would have been on medical aid upon falling pregnant. I would have had 6 months maternity leave fully paid at MTN, so I wouldn't have had to claim it at UIF. And I would have had that baby at a private hospital and come back home after the doctors felt satisfied that I was healthy to come back home. And upon being back home, I would have been able to even afford a nanny, a domestic worker, if you want to call it that, right? That is licensed, that has a car, that if my child should, wheeze in a strange direction, she can get in a car and drive this child to the doctor while I take leave at work and go see what's going on with my kid. That, for me, was what I was waiting for. I was broody at the exact same time as my cousin. And just like her, I was out here doting over cute little pics of babies in baby magazines. But I remember saying in my mind, even though I didn't vocalize it to her, over my dead body, that I would give that deadbeat rando a baby before he proposes marriage to me, and also before I get a car. At the time when she had the baby, both she and I were yet to have anything. We just had jobs, regular 9-to-5s, and even then I had a better job than her. With her, she did not have maternity leave awarded her in the package, whereas I had a 9-to-5 at some, I think I was working at the time at was I already at MTN? I stand corrected, or I could have been maybe at Kijima, I don't know, but I definitely did have maternity leave. I definitely did have the kind of job that would have awarded me paid maternity leave, even if it was like 50% or 40% or whatever, and the rest I'd have to claim from UIF. Type of thing. I had a better job, but I didn't have a car. I had a better job, but I didn't have a car. Yes, I was at a call center. I did not have a car yet, and I was working on getting one. I was 20. I got my first car when I was like 22. Yeah, 22, 23. I was like, for me to combat, I'm a taxi. Heavily I would not just fathoming it. Seeing as my boyfriend also didn't have a car at the time. I had a driver's license, but not a car. I could not for the life of me see myself heavily pregnant and getting on a taxi. Just the thought of that Just the thought of that ate me alive. And even though I was broody wanting to be a mom at some point, I was not about to go and do it anyway because I'm desperately in love with a man. The two of us seem very serious with each other, and on top of that, I want a baby. I want a baby. I wanted a child throughout the course of my relationship, all of it, all 5 years of it. I wanted a child. That guy wasted the living daylights out of my life by never proposing marriage to me, and that is the reason why I kept on drinking Diane 35. I kept on drinking it. I got fat like no man's business. Water retention from here to Timbuktu. Water weight, thanks to the pill. But I was never about to go and down that Diane 35 that was blocking me from falling pregnant for as long as this dude was still my boyfriend. For as long as this Okie was still my boyfriend. Because for me, it was like, I don't want to take the risk that I'm not going to end up, that I'm going to have children by 2 different men or 3 different men. I don't want to take the risk that I'm not going to end up married to a man that I gave my first child. I don't want to take that risk. And that was before I was born again. So how much more convicted do you imagine I became then once I got saved? Once I got saved, I became even more stubborn to the prospect of just having a baby in Jefela by some sperm donor. Some dude that will be responsible enough to be there. I never was the kind of woman to date the kind of dude to flee, run away, as soon as a chick is like, I'm pregnant. So any guy that I would have given a baby that I was with in the past would have definitely still been in my life to this day. They would have been around for that baby. But would I have been married to them? I can't even stand any of them now that I think about it. I don't think I would have ended up permanent with any of them. I don't think so. But like, maybe I might have gotten married to somebody else who would have been the stepdad to my first or my second child with some other dude. But while that would have worked out anyway, why go through all that hardship? Like, what's the point? What is the point? It turns out alright. Rarely ever will a grandmother abandon her grandchild because her daughter decided to go and have a baby without having a job. Rarely. So indeed, if I were to fall pregnant right now, my mom would probably take care of my child. It's true. But like, why would I want to endure myself through any of that? Any of that? I could not fathom the prospect of getting inside the taxi, public transportation, ugunuga, ibaji. Yeah, but y'all know how it can just smell of zol like no man's business inside taxis while I'm heavily pregnant. And y'all now know how when women are pregnant, they are very sensitive to smells. Very sensitive to all different kinds of odors. And taxis have got a myriad, a collage of odors. And you're going to go and subjugate yourself to the tyranny of all that as a nauseous, heavily pregnant woman that might even have, what do they call it, morning sickness, 9 months coffee. There are women who get lambasted by it all 9 months. They never get a break. They're always out of vomiting. How much worse than ikwapalomuntu etexin? Yo, guys, I'm sorry. Like, there are just things that don't make sense. But like in the, never mind black community, but the earth, citizens on this planet of ours are ever so particularly persistent and constantly on highlighting the fact that things eventually work out. Yeah, girl, I agree. Sister Gelzina, I do agree. Like, I'm not at loggerheads with you on that. Because the common grace of God applies in society. He loves the human race. He gave us his only begotten son, that whomsoever might believe upon him shall not perish but have everlasting life. God loves the human race. So the Lord is the reason why it all works out eventually. Why children born in such, obscurity turn out all right. But just because the Lord had enough mercy to make sure that your kid did not fall apart because you were a fallen apart baby mama at the time of giving birth, does not mean that you should do it. It's just easier to be wise. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Knowledge of the Holy One brings understanding. It just makes life so much easier. So much easier. But we out here counseling people to do whatever it takes to get ahead because it works out in the end. I started out this whole conversation, how I even ended up talking about having babies out of wedlock, or when you are not yet ready or comfortable to have a baby. It was based on basically occult involvement. Occult involvement. Yes, I am being lambasted both by suggestions that I must fall pregnant and everything, but right now the reason why I'm suffering the way that I'm suffering, this demonic attack that is sitting on me heavily right now, that is taking a couple of days to fade, and I don't know when I'm going to be okay. I get right, man, I've got a feeling of listlessness, like, I feel weird. I know I will conquer ultimately. Largely, why I'm being so attacked by many of my foes in the black community is because they're telling themselves that just like having a child, when you're not ready, stakel, it eventually works out. It eventually works out because look at how under heaven it is that Nati, we did all of these things to push our agendas along. Karabo, hey, your Jesus has made you wait all of this time, but you don't have anything you wanted in prayer. You are single, you are suffering, you are undergoing too much, basically. And all of us, we decided to cut corners with this Christ, right? We decided to cheat on an examination And it worked out. Look at me, I'm a mom. My one son is 14 years old, my other daughter is 13, and my youngest is 6. Look at me, I'm married to the guy that, okay, so not first price. Like, top of that, I'm sola for Korobela. But like, you know, we've worked through a lot together. And now that we are both middle-aged men, and now that we're both middle-aged, a middle-aged man and a woman, we have basically just come to accept that we're married. We were not each other's biggest loves, biggest flames, but we have children and we are a family now. Like a giant tree, we are a family and we've got beautiful kids. And you know, the oldest one is in high school, for crying out loud. So it worked out. It worked out, Karabo. You I mean, fine. So unglisile ujabo. Unglisile. Uthemba unglisile. Oh goodness, Pinky unglisile. Lerato gave me a little something. I can tell, man. I wasn't feeling her that much, but I married her anyway. But we've got 3 beautiful sons now. And, you know, we come home together and we have braais every so often. We host Christmas lunches. And it's just working out. It eventually works out. Koto, what do you have? Karabo, tumbleweed. Like it's all dry, sister girl. It's all dry. Crickets all over the show. Rolling around in these streets. Test what we did. Test what I have a cousin that was frustrated by the fact that her boyfriend was not proposing marriage. He was not getting around to, you know, doing what he needed to do fast enough. It had been a long-term boyfriend, and so she made a decision that she's going to help him along. So, yemi ala day, see me see trouble, when are you gonna marry me, yo? See me see trouble, you best to marry me, yo. See, we've been dating for many years now, you want to leave me for lobola. See me see trouble, you go marry me, yo. Today, almost shapilega yemi ala day. And the dude, next thing, a guy that had told himself that he's not all that interested in marriage, so I mean, it worked out. According to her, it worked out. Because I mean, you were already my baby daddy, dude. Like, come on. It's not like I lured you. Top of that, organically. You asked me out organically. You actually had a crush on me. You actually had true feelings for me when you asked me out. I was just helping you make a decision that you weren't just never gonna make. I did not want Mina to go and be a baby mama of 2 out there in these streets dealing with hardship and dating. Because I've got like 2 kids and everything. I want to marry the guy that is my baby daddy. So, when are you gonna marry me, yo? You're not marrying me, yo. So she just helped him along. That's what's good. Yeah. Now, today, a couple of that nature might be like, okay, so this is not first price. Only reason why I took 20,000 years as a man to propose marriage to you was because, girl, I was actually looking out for something else. My head was like a periscope out here, scanning the horizon to see if there is something else coming. You were a placeholder. I was going to thoroughly leave you for somebody else if at all something came that was better. But you made me chill in here. But now I'm a dad of 4, 5, 6, and I'm looking all successful as a man that does not shoot blanks. So it worked out in the end. When that's not really the woman that you loved. Type of stuff to produce infidelity, type of stuff to cause the kinds of husbands in offices that are out here flirting with some colleagues, and you're like, but why are you doing this to your wife, dude? Why are you so easily, flagrantly flirting with me with your ring? All up in my face, blinging, all up in my grill. The women of which allow themselves to be flirted with by married men because they think it's something that gives them clout or oomph or impetus or whatever, you know, allowing themselves to humor married men telling themselves, I still got it. No, girl, you're messing with another woman's man. Is that basic? Like, stop. Don't let them flirt with you. But they pride themselves in the fact that I guess it makes them feel pretty or whatever. These men that have no debris, you know, horses at all, ain't out here trying to, like, you know, put a chock-a-block on any such activity as that. Do that precisely because, you know, women today, see me see trouble. When are you gonna marry me, yo? See, we've been dating for many years now. You want to leave me for lobo. Like, see me see trouble. You gonna marry me, yo? Enough of me. It's like, as in, the Lord is jealous for the church. And that jealousy is what causes him to go and grab a whole bunch of idolaters and throw them into hellfire, burning you forever. The jealousy that the Lord feels for the body of Christ, for the church basically, is a romantic one because he calls himself the groom and we are the bride. So essentially in God's jealousy for human beings, we understand just how it is that it ought to be in any romantic relationship. A jealousy that can lead to lights out. It can lead to death. It can lead to, I am jealous for you. And so I am going to haunt everyone that is trying to take you away from me. And I'm going to make out of you a scorn of all nations because you dared give yourself to another lover boy. Yeah. The Lord compares his jealousy for the church to a romantic one, evidencing therefore that we all ought, in any kind of holy capacity, if we're going to be reasonable, have some kind of jealousy for the person that is our significant other in romance. And that jealousy, when we have it, we don't act in sin. We ought have it. Otherwise, if you're not jealous for your husband, you're not a proper wife. However, it is about being righteous within that jealousy. So manje, given that we have this righteous wrath or this righteous jealousy that is possessive of the affection of our significant others, how under heaven are you content with marrying a man that is divided in his affections for you? You are putting yourself in a position to sing cell block tango at some point. I'm just saying. Archie on some, he had it coming. He had it coming. He only had himself to blame. I didn't do it. But if I'd done it, it was a murder, but not a crime. You're gonna convert a man into 6-pop Cicero or Lipschitz. You are going to go and make a man a dead human being. Or a man is gonna go and make a woman a dead human being. Because romantic love is jealous in a way that no other kind of love is here on earth. To a point of, bringing about things like crimes of passion, where it is that some people could end up dead. So not knowing how it is that I would feel some kind of hot way about my man out here ogling at some other females in these streets, chatting with some other females in these streets, even having little mini dalliances with other females in these streets, I feel like a homicidal wrath would come inside me if I were to learn of infidelity in my husband. I am jealous for my lover. I cannot deal. I have experienced a severity of pain from a mere suspicion in the past of being cheated on. Just on suspicion alone, I've been rendered catatonic historically. Literally, near on zombie. I was working at a call center at Bank, and I did not take calls. I kept on passing them, and my boss called me angry and gave me a final written warning telling me I'm going to be fired if I keep doing that because I suspected my boyfriend of cheating. I was catatonic. The dude was supposed to be faithful, and I had sufficient evidence to imagine that that's not what he was doing. I eventually pulled it out of him, and he confessed, and I was catatonic for yet more weeks thereafter. And that was just a boyfriend. How much worse would I be if it's a husband? That's how I am. And I, for the life of me, knowing went to Jesus Christ at the throne of grace, lay myself prostrate at his feet once upon a time as soon as I got born again, and I was like, Lord, you know how I be that zombie when I find out that my man is cheating. So is it possible? Apparently, allegedly it isn't, but I mean, all things are possible through you, right? Is it possible for me to get a man literally is it possible for me to have a man that's going to look at just me, a man that's going to love me, and a man that's going to diss Jezebel that's flirting with him, seducing him in the office, a man that's going to say, I'm married? Please don't do that. Don't be acting no kind of fool female. Don't you see I've got a ring? If they are out there, is there anybody out there, echo of a man that's like that? If they exist, if you can fashion one for me, I am willing to wait on you for one. I am prepared to wait on you for a dude that's not going to put me in a coma. Following getting out of that coma, of which I'm then going to end up low-key homicidal. Fine. So back then I was not quite as feverish with my emotions as I've been made thanks to persecution. So I wasn't homicidal towards my ex at the time. Well, he was at the time my boyfriend, but I certainly was a zombie that was inconsolable. The way that I just could not deal with the fact that he's cheated. I couldn't stop thinking about him with another woman. I was a zombie. And it would take months for me to recover. And I nearly lost my job because of being that zombie. Ever since that zombie state, my ex worked like an injured dog. He worked like an animal to conceal any other like infidelity that he may or may not have committed, such that I never found out ever again. From that date, if he cheated on me, I allowed him back into my life again, but I never ever again suspected him of anything. It's almost as if though either he stopped because he saw what it did to me, or he did a really good job to block me from ever knowing. Until the end, of course, when I smelled another woman on his nether regions, but that was another story. That's what caused our breakup, by the way. So that's the kind of stuff that it had power to render me catatonic back then. And now today, because I'm so angry all the time, thanks to all of my persecution, low-key also kind of singing self-blog tango, I feel like I could actually kill a man. The way I've just been so heartbroken, I am in no position to be taking just anything coming. I'm not a safe woman to be with by a dude that's not serious with Jesus. I'm just saying. And God, I'm not trying to threaten nobody, but I'm just saying that attrition, persecution, hard knock pain over the years has made me so no nonsense that if I were to mistakenly marry some beastly fool that's arrogant and that is out here, side piecing some other deities apart from Jesus, and in so being an idolater, therefore also easily cheating on me, I don't think he would live. I seriously don't think he would live. I've just been made so sensitive to pain, and I've also waited for so long on God for what it is that I have asked in prayer, that I don't have luxury anymore to be taking I don't have the luxury to be catatonic because a man cheated. Now I just feel like some knives would be driven into hearts. I'm just confessing the truth of what's going on inside me. The love of God for the church is jealous, and the Lord grabs those who are idolaters and don't fit their purpose in him, those who refuse, those who essentially spit in his face the love he has awarded them as a groom. He throws them into hellfire. And the more you become like God, the more he fashions you into the likeness of Christ, the more, upon waiting especially on God for answered prayer, the more expectant you are for neither eye seeing, nor ear hearing, nor mind conceiving the things which God provides for those who wait on him. And so therefore, the less room you have to accommodate lackluster provision, the more patient you therefore are also made. And so stuff that tries to worm its way in stealthily, coming into your space, that's not what you asked from God, has power to cause you to react similarly to the way that God reacts to that level of idolatry. Like, kill them all. Just like neutralize the living daylights out of them. Take them out of my way. I want nothing to do with it. A cold-hearted spirit towards jealously desiring that which you ask for in prayer. Patience achieves that in a Christian. When you have already been waiting for 10 years, 12, 20 years, you are not exhausted by patience. You are ever more expectant because of it. You are made a lot more expectant because of the fact that you waited 10 years. Because of the fact that you waited 15 years. It does not make you tired. It makes you more expectant. Meaning, worms, strange little pernicious, stealthy, slithering worms, are in harm's way ever so exquisitely when they try to come into the space of a person that has waited for that which neither eye has seen, nor ear heard, nor mind conceived. You are putting yourselves in harm's way. You are literally putting yourselves in harm's way when you insist on coming into the life of a Christian. And that's what's happening in my life right now. I am being looked at by a whole bunch of strange females in these uneasy streets. And they are like, all these random males, Karabo, that are persistent on coming into your space. They want to take care of you. They want to love you. They want to pamper you. They want to take you on a shopping spree. And they want to give you the babies you've always wanted. Girl, why don't you just take it, Dio? Take it, you can have it, Dio. Take it, you can touch it, Dio. Because you're Davido. Why don't you just grab it? Because you're like 39 now. And never mind being 39. But like clearly this whole Jesus Christ of yours, waiting on him, ignore all of your good years. One of these days you're going to lose your beauty. One of these days you get my point. Why don't you just take it, Dio? Take it. You can have it, Dio. Grab it. Why don't you just take it? And for me, it's like, you want me to accommodate an idol worshipping animal that is going to, never mind, render me catatonic but homicidal. What is the point when it's that messy? You know, I don't, these days I'm not moving on to part 2 because I'm wary, but I'm still talking. Let's just go to part 2.